All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Dom and Gonz Sports Talk, live edition at that, where we talk about everything about the Baltimore Ravens, not only everything about the Baltimore Ravens, but around the NFL. And today, it's game day in Baltimore. The home opener starts in just a couple hours here. Ravens taking on the Browns, celebrating their 30th year anniversary of existence. So it's going to be an exciting day at the bank. And I'm here to break it down for you, preview it for you. Big game for both teams coming in. There's some bulletin board material out there as well. It's going to be a crazy one. Flacco makes his return to M&T Bank, so a lot of storylines heading into this one. I'm Gonz, so welcome to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the link. It's just me today. We weren't able to get together with Dom and formally live stream or record together. So you've got a pregame live show this morning, just hours before kickoff. So I think that works out pretty good. Dom has his thoughts on the YouTube channel already and IG. So go check those out when you get a second. But anyway, let's talk Ravens-Browns. So to start out, we'll go ahead how we always do. We start with the injury report, who's dealing with what. And not a lot of injuries for each team. We'll start with the Baltimore Ravens. The same two people are out. It's going to be tight end Isaiah Likely, who's still working his way back from that foot injury, and fullback Patrick Ricard, still dealing with that calf. So we'll see how much closer to Isaiah Likely is returning, because we did get hinted at some news this week that he's making good progress. Nnamdi Madubuike was on the injury report, and so was Rashad Bateman, who missed Friday's practice, but they are both good to go. They have no game injury designation, so they are going. The only two people out for Baltimore are those two that I mentioned, that being Ricard and Likely. So the Ravens are relatively healthy again going into this matchup as well. Cleveland, they are dealing with a couple things. They did activate Quinshon Judkins, their second-round pick, their supposed star running back. So we'll see if Stefanski activates him for the actual game coming up. So we'll see. He's listed as questionable on their injury report. Oh, Jack Conklin, their tackle, sustained an eye injury and dealing with elbow injuries per the Cleveland Browns injury report. So we'll see if he is good to go. Stefanski said that is going to be a 50-50 type situation. So that would be a huge loss if the Browns were to have to roll with their backup tackle in place of Jack Conklin. So we'll see. And then lastly, someone who's for sure out for the Browns, D tackle Mike Hall Jr. So both teams are not dealing with a lot of injuries. So both teams are going to be relatively full strength coming into this matchup. So it should prove to be a good one. Now we can look into the actual matchups on the field, starting with the Baltimore Ravens offense versus that Cleveland Browns defense. Now, are we expecting them to score 41 points again after putting those up against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football? I don't know, because the Browns are definitely more of a stingy defense. And, it's AFC North football, so they always give each other an issue. No doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter how good they are. And I hate saying that because it's so annoying, but it's true. I mean, it's go look at the recent history. I mean, the 2-6 Cleveland Browns beat the Baltimore Ravens last year. So shit really just happens, honestly. So let's jump into the matchup. Browns come away with a 17-16 loss last week versus Joe Burrow and the Bengals in a game they easily could have won. Their defense held Burrow in check yet again. Myles Garrett raking havoc all over the field. And then the Baltimore Ravens also coming off a loss against the Buffalo Bills, as you guys already know. So both teams looking for sort of a redemption/bounce-back performance. So we'll see if they can get it done. Baltimore matching up with that defense. Offensive line, going to need another strong game. We already know who Myles Garrett is. We know what he's done. We know his history. We know how we like to sometimes let superstar pass rushers wreck the game. So you need to have a scheme ready for this guy, because Myles Garrett can rush all over the field. So we need to make sure we're ready and keeping our eyes open, seeing where he's going all the time. Make sure we're keeping eyes on him as he shifts around the D-line, because he can rush from everywhere and anywhere. So hopefully that this offensive line is ready to block because it's going to be a tough one. Dating back to last year, Baltimore did not run the ball too well in their second matchup with Cleveland until the second half. It took a whole half to get Henry going, and then he ended up breaking some, and he ended up getting over 100 yards on Derrick Henry's birthday last year in Week 18. So we'll see if the Ravens' offensive line can pave the way for Henry. I don't expect it to be as big as it was against Buffalo, just knowing the fact that the Browns are just naturally a better defense than the Buffalo Bills. So we'll see how that goes. But if we need to stay true to that, though, we need to come out and start running the ball just like we did last week. And I hit it right on the head last week. You come out swinging. You come out running the ball, establish that sense of physicality, tire the D-line out, and then it'll prove a good game for you later on down the road once you get to the second half, because you'll already have that sense of physicality established, and now you'll have to have them prepared to defend even more than just, the basic runs and passes. But even more, it's that balance aspect. Okay, you want to make sure you're unpredictable, and more on that in just a little bit. So if you're able to run the ball, you should be able to, again, open up this offense to hit you with some chunk plays on the play action. I mean, I think this is the identity of the Ravens. I think it's no surprise here. It's no shock to anybody to hear this. They are founded on running the football, and I agree with that. And everyone should agree with that, because that's just who the Ravens are. That's who they've always been. You've got to run the dang ball, and that'll open up your pass, okay? And you also want to have the game in Lamar Jackson's hands. At the end of the game, I want to see us, if we have a lead, you need to keep your foot on the pedal. You need to make sure that Lamar Jackson has this ball in his hands. If there's a situation where we need a first down to win the game, just like we had in Buffalo just a week before, I need to see Lamar have the ball in his hands, okay? So what I'm saying is, coaching staff, Todd Monken, you need to make sure that you don't go into your little cocoon and you stay aggressive on the offensive side of the ball, even when you have the lead late in the game. Don't shrivel up, okay? You've got to be confident, and you've got to give the best quarterback in the NFL the football in his hands late in games so he can get it done himself too, okay? So that's what we really need from this offense, okay? More push from the offensive line, although it might be harder, and that will open up the play action, and then the situational awareness at the end of games, or just in the second half of games in general, to keep the football in your best player's hands, okay? I think there's no shock there. That's what not just the fans want to see, but that's what the Ravens want to see. That's what Steve Bisciotti wants to see. That's what Eric DeCosta wants to see at the end of games, so we can successfully close out victories, okay? So we'll see if the Ravens are able to do that on the offensive side of the ball. Now, let's jump a little bit to the defensive side of things. This will be this Baltimore Ravens defense versus a Joe Flacco-led offense. Now, we love Joe Flacco here in Baltimore. He holds a special place in all of our hearts, getting us that Super Bowl championship back in 2012. He had the best playoff run of all time as a quarterback. He had 13 touchdowns and 0 picks in those 4 games. That was just a phenomenal playoff run, tying Joe Montana for the best playoff run as a quarterback of all time. So that, at the time at least. So that was phenomenal. We love Joe Flacco, and we thank him for everything he did in Baltimore. So it's going to be an emotional day, probably for both some fans and for some and for Mr. Flacco himself. So we'll see. Now, that being said, John Harbaugh is still the coach. Okay, that's Flacco's old coach too when he was here with Baltimore. So we should be able to know him pretty well. Okay, he's older now. He's not very mobile. He can still extend the play when he needs to, but he's not going to be running around taking things himself like Josh Allen was in the first game. So you want to make sure that you're ready for this. Okay, Joe Flacco. We all used to make fun of him at the end of his Ravens tenure. He likes to check the ball down sometimes, okay? So if you get into his face and you let him throw that check down, just if he sees a hair of an opening, he's gonna dump it off, okay? So open field tackling on defense is going to be huge in this game, because you expect the Browns to get a lot of short passes and trying to get a lot of run after the catch. So I expect a lot of that. Running back situation. We'll see if Judkins is going to be active. This would be his NFL debut in general, in preseason and regular season, because he never played because he was dealing with that charge. So we'll see what the Browns decide to do with him. If not, it will be the probably the Jerome Ford show again. So we'll see what happens with the running backs. But stopping the run, making Flacco throw the ball again. I know the Ravens defense, we know what they did last week. They choked and they made a lot of mistakes there at the end of the game. They played soft coverage. It wasn't that great. So you need to make sure that you're disciplined. Stay in your rush lanes, do your assignments, okay? And communication is key, okay? This defense needs a bounce back big time in the most craziest way possible after last week's game. They need a big bounce back, okay? And I know there was a couple of plays that didn't go their way. That Keon Coleman touchdown was complete luck. It was a right place, right time thing. But this defense, they need a bounce back game. And then if you need even more motivation, and I know that Ravens probably didn't look at this week in the locker room, but the Browns are talking crap. The Cleveland Browns are talking crap about you guys, okay? Grant Delpit, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, Jerry Jeudy went out on the press conference and literally said that this defense poses 0 challenges, okay? How are you going to make that difference today? So you all don't have to worry about the Baltimore material. Us fans, we will, but you need a bounce back. You all need a bounce back big time, okay? Because this defense had a lot of hype coming into the season, and they just didn't really live up to their expectation at all in that week 1 loss to the Bills, giving up 41, surrendering that late 15-point lead, and you got to bounce back. You really have to. It's for your own sake. You're the Baltimore Ravens. You're playing at home. You're defending your home turf against a division rival. You need this, okay? Need a better game. Jai Alexander, we need a bounce-back game from you, man. It was rough out there. And, he hadn't practiced since the beginning of August, and he just came back in like the Wednesday before the game. I'm pretty sure there was some rust on there. Okay, I mean, he had not practiced for weeks, and then he just came back. And I know he's a veteran. I get it. But you already know how he is dealing with injuries. He needs to work his way back. If there's some underlying cause that we are not seeing to why Jair Alexander is not performing up to standards after one game, if he's still dealing with an injury, for example, he needs to be held out, okay? So I'm just going to let you all know that now. I believe that if he's dealing with injury still, if he's playing at like 75, 80, 85%, hold him out. Okay, we don't need somebody who's dealing with injuries hurting our secondary. Okay, we've got guys we can fill in with. Chidobe Awuzie was all over the field last week. Okay, he can step in when he needs to. But I would not force Jair to play if he's not healthy. Okay, so we'll see. If he's fully healthy, we'll see that. But if he's fully healthy, what I'm trying to say is he needs a bounce-back game as well. Okay, supposed to be one of the premier corners in the league, so we'll see how he does in his second game as a Raven. Pass rush, you really need a better game. Okay, and again, Flacco is not Allen. He's not going to run around too much, but you need to get pressure on the quarterback. You need to get Flacco uncomfortable because then he'll start checking it down, forcing some turnovers. He had 2 interceptions last week, and some were maybe not his fault because they were deflected, but you need to make sure you're getting after the quarterback. Okay, that's essential. It was non-existent last week. Matabike was trying his hardest. He even did get a sack, but we need some more from these edge rushers. Oweh, we need some more pressure. Van Noy, Mike Green, let's see some more of them. Tavius Robinson, just not really an impact on the game as we would like to see last week. So in this department, I want to see a couple sacks. I think we can get some today, especially if Conklin does not play. Okay, so yeah, pass rush, communication, discipline, tackling. But what does this all lead back to? Everything combined, it's the situational awareness for this entire Baltimore Ravens team. Okay, I don't want to see any more mismanaged clock type of things, even if it's in the first half. Okay, that what they did with the Bills when they gave up that 3 before halftime, letting them get out of bounds when you sent no people was unacceptable. Okay, We cannot have any more of these mental lapses. Okay? You got to see clearly. You have to see clearly, and don't just be clouded by analytics or judgment or whatever. You've got to be smart. Okay? I'm a little worried about how this coaching staff is going to handle things because, once you think they're turning the corner, they just don't seem to. Then they go back to their old ways. They've been losing like this for years. And John Harbaugh, we really, really need a strong game from you. Okay, we cannot see any more mishandled opportunities. Okay, the situational awareness will prove key in this game. Okay, so I'm hoping they can do it. I really think that the Ravens can win this game. But they've got to be smart. They've got to stick to who they are. Okay, all the things I said earlier: running the ball, passing the ball. Having the run, open up play actions, physicality in the O-line. It doesn't matter if you do not have situational awareness. Okay? When you find yourself in the lead, okay, don't cower into a corner. I'll say it again. Keep your foot on the gas, and you will win a lot of games. Okay? Because the Ravens looked like one of the best teams in the league last week for 3.5 quarters, and they took the foot off the gas. Don't do that. Okay? There's no reason to do that in the NFL. These guys are pros. They will come back. The other team's not going to stop trying. If you go from 100% to 70%, you think the other team's going to do that with you? They're going to give up? Heck no. Heck no. They're going to do whatever they want to do or whatever they're going to try to do to win the game. If anything, they're going to be trying 120% now. So you have let your foot off the gas. You're at 70. The other team is trying even harder at 120. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to come back. They're going to come back. If you're giving a half-ass effort and they're giving it their all and more, they're going to come back. So you need to keep your foot on the gas. Okay? I don't want to see this. I don't want to see any more blown leads. So, anyway, that's the intangibles out of the way. Y'all saw the keys to the game, offensively and defensively, but the biggest things are the mental lapses. The intangibles are the biggest things for me, honestly. It's the situational awareness. Okay, we have to improve on that. So we'll see. We'll see. I do think the Baltimore Ravens will come away with the victory. I think they really need a bounce back here. And I know the Browns got a lot of motivation because if you guys know the history, this Ravens team currently is the former Cleveland Browns when they moved in the night, came to Baltimore. So I'm going to say that the Ravens take this victory handily. Okay, I'm going to give it to them maybe 28-17, although it's probably going to be more like a 28-21 or 27-20 type of thing. So you know what? Let me change my score. I think it'll be close. 27-20 is your score. I think the Ravens will get enough done offensively to put the Browns away. And I think, giving up 20, I know that's a lot of points, but I think that the Ravens defense will make some plays. They'll force a couple turnovers, and that will be enough to stop the Browns. Okay. We'll see what happens, though. Would I like to see the Browns held under 20 points? That I probably would. So I'd like to give them a 27-17 score, but I'm honestly probably just going to go with 27-20 just to be, safe. But I love the defense. Defense, if you want to allow less points, be my guest. But I don't know if I fully trust them yet to give those dominant performances that we're used to seeing out of Baltimore Ravens defenses quite yet. I need to see more improvement. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. You got the home crowd at your back this week. Maybe that'll add some extra fuel to the fire. I know that I read that Kyle Van Noy had a meeting with the defense this week discussing, some things about how to be better or what's going on, where the issue is. So we'll see. We'll see if they've gotten anything fixed and turned around. And like I said, we're not – credit to Josh Allen and the Bills because, they're one of the premier teams of the AFC. So you already know that they're pretty good. But you don't want to see that again this week. You don't. You can't. We cannot see another lapse on this defense, or else for some fans, it will be an uproar. It will be quite an uproar. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, there's my thoughts on this game. I think the Ravens take it 27-20. And yeah, that's mainly it. I will be in attendance. I got my jersey on. I'm going to the home opener. So I will be there to witness it live in person at the bank. So I'm hyped for that. Hopefully the Ravens show up today and get it done. Improve to 1-1, 1-0 in the division. We'll see around the league too. We've got some other games to keep an eye on. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kitty Cat battle versus the Bengals. And then the Steelers taking on those Seahawks. Sam Darnold and the Hawks coming to town for Pittsburgh's home opener. They're looking to start 2-0. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks again for stopping in. This has been a fun little live stream. This will stay up on YouTube. Did I get it right? Are the Ravens going to win? Did we get your picks right? I mean, you still got a couple hours, guys. You can go check out our Week 2 full slate picks, where Gom and I pick every single game in the NFL for Week 2. So feel free to go check that out. But anyway, I'm going to go on ahead and get out of here and get situated for this game. We're going to have to leave in a couple hours because, there's going to be a lot of traffic. I'm anticipating this to be, since it's the first game and the 30th anniversary celebration, it's going to be a lot of fans in attendance. So we got to make sure we leave on time. But anyway, thanks again for stopping by. I'm Gonz. So appreciate you coming by. We will be live again for post game, maybe later today. If not later today, then tomorrow for sure. So we'll keep you updated on that. Okay. All right, guys. Enjoy Week 2. Hopefully your team gets that dub this weekend. Enjoy the games. And we will see you later. Okay? This is Gonz signing out. Have a great Sunday afternoon, and go Ravens.